In this pursuit to have seeds being sown in the memories, through these webinars, we requested Mr. G. Karuppa Swami Pandyan, an advocate of Madurai bench, who is quite often taking webinars, and prior to that, he was taking knowledge sharing platforms. And the topic, a glance over the appreciation of the solitary evidence, we thought would be quite well received by the audience, because the question as to whether the quantity or the quality of the evidence has always been weighing in everyone's mind. And in these circumstances, we thought that it will be an engaging session where we can understand as to what is the value of a solitary witness, or whether we should have more of quantity rather than quality, and how does the court appreciate that. Mr. Karuppa Swami, not only being a speaker, is also an established lawyer. He has been appointed as amicus curiae in a lot of cases. And we all know that amicus curiae is a friend of the court, meaning thereby where court feels that the party is not being well represented, or where it feels that there is a question which requires more assistance on a particular question of law, then the courts, in its fitness of things, appoints a person, and he has been ably assisting the courts, and so much so, and even in the judgments, his appreciation has been recorded, wherein he has been amicus to the effect that it facilitated the better development of law, or to say therein that the accused or any other person who could not afford the lawyer, in that circumstances through legal aid or by the appointment of the court, he has been assisting. We are quite grateful that he acceded to our request, and he has been kind enough to take a lot of webinars down in Madurai for the aspirants of the judicial officers and assistant district attorneys and deputy attorneys. Without taking much time, I would request Mr. Pandyan to take over and give his insights.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vikas, sir, for having a confidence upon me to take a class here. And before entering into the topic, I must thank Mr. Srinivasa Raghavan, advocate, who is having confidence upon me and recommended me before this forum. Now the topic is somewhat very well received one. Now I can enter into the topic, the appreciation of solitary evidence. You all know the law with regard to the appreciation of evidence of solitary witness is no more res integra, and it has been settled by cutting off decisions that to convict an accused person of a case based on solitary evidence, where the quality of evidence of such a solitary witness should be wholly reliable. And moreover, the time-honored principle, we should remind ourselves that the evidence has to be weighed, not counted. That is what the Supreme Court repeatedly reiterates. Here, we can trace the background of the solitary witness from section 134 of Evidence Act, where it is clearly section 134 of Evidence Act. According to that provision, no particular number of witnesses shall in any case be required for the proof of any fact. And we can see now, quite decisions from the Supreme Court as well as Privy Council. The earliest and first case in that aspect, namely Muhammad Sugal Esa versus the King, which is reported in AR 1946, Privy Council, page number 3, where the trial court has convicted the accused based on the solitary witness of side. While affirming the conviction, the Privy Council categorically held that once there is admissible evidence, a court can act upon it. To prove, the Privy Council held the distinction between the legal position regarding corroboration in England and in India. As far as in English law is concerned, corroboration is contemplated in statute, whereas in our Indian legal system, corroboration has been used as a rule of prudence and it is not contemplated in any statute. That is what Privy Council held. Subsequently, this judgment has been followed in a very celebrated judgment, namely Vadivelu Thevar versus State of Madras, which is reported in AAR 1957, Supreme Court, page number 164, where the Honorable Apex Court firmly held that unless corroboration is insisted upon by the statute, the court should not insist on corroboration. Further, the Apex Court had divided the nature of witnesses in three categories. Number one, wholly reliable. Number two, wholly unreliable. Number three, neither wholly reliable nor wholly unreliable. As far as the two categories are concerned, there can be no difficulty at all. Whereas the third category comes under task. When the court faces the third category of evidence, when the solitary evidence is being neither wholly reliable nor wholly unreliable, the Supreme Court firmly held that it should seek corroboration from the material particulars. If the corroboration is not available from material particulars of independent source, the court can simply discard the evidence. That is what the Vadivelu Thevar case where it is held. So subsequently, even after this length of time, there has been no departure from the principle laid down in Vadivelu Thevar case. And the next case law, now we can see Namdeo versus State of Maharashtra. Namdeo is a State of Maharashtra, which is reported in 2007 14 SEC, page number 150, where the Apex Court held that neither legislature nor judiciary mandates that there must be particular number of witnesses to record an order of conviction against an accused. Our legal system always laid emphasis on value, weight, and quality of evidence rather than quantity, multiplicity, or plurality of witnesses. It is therefore open to a competent court to fully and completely rely on a solitary witness when it is of sterling quality. Conversely, the court may accuse the accused in spite of testimonies of several witnesses if it is not satisfied about the quality of evidence. That is what the Supreme Court in 2007 held. The next judgment we can see now. In 2009, 1 SEC, page number 224, Jarnail Singh versus State of Punjab, where the Supreme Court held conviction held can be based on the sole testimony of solitary witness, provided his presence at the place of occurrence was natural and his testimony should be strong, reliable, and free from blemish. And the other case law, Puran Yadav versus State of Madhya Pradesh, which is reported in 2008 8 SEC, page number 51, the sum and substance of the judicial precedents on the subject is loud and clear that the court can rely upon a solitary witness to record a conviction of an accused, provided the witness should be wholly reliable. That is what Supreme Court held. Now, there can be a question with regard to a solitary witness. If it is being relative, how it should be appreciated? For that aspect, even in the year of 1965, our Supreme Court held in Ria Singh versus State of Punjab. In Ria Singh versus State of Punjab, which is reported in AR 1965 Supreme Court, page number 328, where the Supreme Court held evidence of an eyewitness who is near relative of the victim should be closely scrutinized, but no corroboration is necessary for acceptance of his evidence. That is what our Supreme Court held. The very same view has been reiterated in one more judgment, which is reported in 2007, 12 SEC, page number 381. State of Rajasthan versus Om Prakash. As far as solitary evidence is concerned, the corroboration here, it seems much important. It assumes, because corroboration is not a rule of law. It is a rule of prudence. Law does not insist upon the corroboration. So it is almost settled. Court can convict the accused based on a solitary evidence, provided it should inspire confidence and is of sterling quality. That is what Supreme Court held. And very recently, in that aspect, there is a judgment from Supreme Court, which is reported in 2020 SEC Online, page number 826. Amar Singh versus State of NCT Delhi, wherein the apex court discarded the solitary evidence on the ground that conduct of eyewitness is inconsistent with the ordinary course of human nature. While taking that view, the apex court relied upon the judgment of Selvaraj versus State of Tamil Nadu. That is 3 judges bench judgment, which is reported in 1976, 4 SEC, page number 343, where the 3 judges bench held that the appreciation of evidence of sole eyewitness, where the evidence should be inconsistent with the ordinary course of natural contact. Otherwise, the evidence can be simply discarded because of the fact. And as far as the proposition of law is concerned, it is quite well settled. So solitary evidence can be based upon a conviction when it is wholly reliable and is of sterling quality in nature. That is what the judicial pronouncement and section 134 reiterates. Now you can have questions now. The scope of the proposition is very, very limited, and now we can have questions.
Yeah, actually, I keep myself muted. So what is your take, since the topic is quite, at the first instance itself, I told that it is only the quantity and not the quality.
Yes.
It is the quality, not the quantity, which counts.
Quality alone matters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Quantity is immaterial.
And there has been no departure from the proposition of law so far.
Yeah. And Sachinand asks, kindly share the judgment of 2009.
Two 2009 1 SEC page number 224. Jarnail Singh versus State of Punjab.
I can just type it. 2009.
1 SEC page number 224.
Yeah. So we can also take to the effect that let's assume there is only one. This is by Dr. Srinivas. It says, please explain elaboratively the meaning of solitary evidence and sole witness and interested witness.
As far as interested witness is concerned, already Supreme Court held that the witnesses should be treated as independent unless they gain.
Just hold on. Perchance 2-3 people have got themselves unmuted. No, Galaxy J6. Yeah. Now you can explain.
Yes, sir. As far as the interested witnesses are concerned, the Supreme Court very pertinently held, even in Dalip Singh versus State of Punjab, where Justice Vivian Bose clearly held that the witnesses to be treated as independent unless they gain any sources from anything from any sources. So merely because they are interested witness, their evidence cannot be discarded simply. That is what Supreme Court said.
No, first he's wanting, in fact, to understand what is an interested witness.
Relative witnesses are to be treated as interested witnesses. When a witness is relative to the victim, they can be simply stamped as interested witnesses. So such kind of plea has been repeatedly deprecated by the Supreme Court by stating that merely because they are interested witness, their evidence cannot be discarded.
Yeah. Shivaji Datta has been kind enough. It says solitary witness principle applies equally well for both complainant as well as an accused in a criminal case.
Yes.
And Pawan says, can you explain the stock witness, related witness, and interested witness?
Related witnesses alone have been treated as interested witnesses. As far as stock witnesses is concerned, stock witnesses, the defense should establish they are stock witnesses. Merely because they are stock witnesses, they cannot be simply discarded unless their evidence does not inspire confidence.
So Pandian, first you will have to explain what is a stock witness, because some people are young.
Yes. Stock witness is concerned, the witness who is having deposed in many more cases, they can be simply called as stock witnesses. If a witness is deposed evidence in so many cases, they can be called as stock witnesses.
This is Naveen Kumar. What about the cases involving rape and of domestic violence, wherein only the testimony of the complainant witness is sufficient?
Yes. In that aspect also, law is quite clear. The testimony of victim, which requires no corroboration at all. When the victim's evidence inspires confidence of the court and it is wholly reliable, on that sole basis, the conviction can be recorded. Here, I want to remind myself and all the participants now, corroboration is not a rule of law. It is only a rule of prudence.
Yeah. And down there, do we have something known as a punch witness? Because out here in Punjab, we do refer it as a punch witness.
Punch witness in our state here, Tamil Nadu, they are calling as punch witness or magazine witnesses.
The witnesses are called as panchas who are independent witness. Let's assume in an NDPS Act.
Yes. Yeah. Even recently, Supreme Court held merely because non-examination of independent witness, a case cannot be acquitted.
And since we are discussing about witness, kindly substantiate between a expert witness and a character witness also.
As far as witness is concerned, according to Jeremy Bentham, the legal philosopher, according to him, witness is nothing but ears and eyes of justice. A witness can be relied upon provided his evidence is reliable and trustworthy.
Naveen says again in that rape case, but in a rape case, only the alleged victim and the accused are witnesses. How then the court decides who is telling the truth?
It is the Herculean task here. While subjecting the evidence of victim, her evidence should have been closely scrutinized and subjected to confidence. Here, when the victim's evidence is reliable, it can be sole basis for conviction. Nothing more that.
Yeah. I don't think I'll just check it out if on the Facebook we are. No.
And one more judgment I wanted to refer, AR 1973.
Later on, just share the citations block so that I can share it in the group of the judgments which you have done.
Yes, 1973 AR, page number 2622.
1973
AR.
Yeah.
Page number 2622. Shivaji versus State of Maharashtra, where the famous jurist Mr. Justice V. Krishnaiyer, in his usual flamboyance, stated that it is a platitude to say that witnesses has to be weighed, not counted, since quality matters more than quantity in human affairs. That is what the Supreme Court held. So,
yes.
So the proposition of law is very, very, very settled. Even it has not got any departure so far. So this is the scope of law regarding solitary evidence.
This is by Kumara in case of an incident of assault. A DVD complied according to section 65B, complied according to Anwar and Bashar, two prosecution witnesses, one becomes hostile.
Yes, as far as 65B is concerned, the law is now set at rest by the Supreme Court, that too 3 judges bench. Arjun Pandit Rao. In that case, the Supreme Court categorically stated that 65B certificate is mandatory when secondary evidence is produced. When primary evidence itself is produced, it does not require the 65B certificate. That is what Supreme Court recently held, and also upheld the Anwar case.
This is by Azad Singh. When a spouse filed a case under section 498A, DV, CRPC 125 and other cases, can such witnesses be termed as stock witnesses because they invariably appear in all the cases?
Can never be labeled as stock witness. because stock witness, which means the person who is repeatedly cited as a witness by the police, who can be called as stock witness. Here the case is not.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Pandyan. We had, in fact, quite engaging session. And tomorrow, do stay connected with us at 5 p.m. We will be having the second part of the drafting series, the master series, The Art of Crafting Effective Contracts by Bhumesh Verma, an advocate, a managing partner, Corp Commercial Legal. So do stay connected with us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Namaskar, and enjoy your day and your office in the evening. Thank you, everyone. And the students who are watching, they can do their studies or enjoy life. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.